Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips. And remember, we have some great stuff coming up summer semester for the Nutrition Educator Program, and the Certified Health Educator Program starts in just a couple of weeks. So if you're going to join us for some professional development training, this is the time when you want to get in touch with us and have a conversation with me and figure out what your plan is going to be. Also, my upcoming vaccine course is going to be on June 14th, and Kylia, our incredible therapist, is offering two new things: Discovering Your Worth, Finding Your Voice, and Letting Go of the Past Part 2. Her stuff is just marvelous, and we get nothing but rave reviews from people who are really happy that they're signed up with her anxiety and depression support groups and the other classes that she's offered through us. So check those things out. My email address is pampopper@msn.com. All right, today we're going to talk about positive thinking. I get emails every day from people who say they want to be positive, they want to believe that everything's going to come out okay in the future, but then they hear about something that's agitating, a development in our ongoing debacle, for example, or a negative interaction with someone, and then they feel stressed or depressed or demoralized, and that goes on for quite a long time. I understand this because I also have had to work really hard to keep myself in good mental and psychological condition during this entire thing too. A lot of this agitation and depressing information that gets us sideways comes from watching the news and from negative people. My recommendation is just to get rid of both. Your mental and psychological health are too important to outsource them to the heads of networks that have to report sensational things in order to keep their audience, and people who may not even realize the impact that they're having on you, or how negative something that they say is, but that doesn't change the impact. And I think that we all have a right and maybe even an obligation to protect ourselves a little bit. I read a great article called The Power of Positive Thinking, a conversation with Michael Taylor. He's a life coach and an entrepreneur and a motivational speaker. He says, quote, "All of the water in the ocean can't sink a ship unless it gets inside of the ship." To put it in the context of today, all the negativity in the media and from other sources can't sink us unless we let it take over our thinking. Taylor goes on to say that negative and sensational stories are what sell, while good news is usually not reported. No kidding, right? In other words, as long as we let the negativity in, it's going to continue to have a negative effect. Taylor makes another important statement, which I've always thought that this was true. What you think about, you bring about. So if you're constantly thinking about how bad everything is and how bad the world is, guess what's going to show up in your experience? That, okay? So taking control of your mind and thinking, in my opinion, is not a whole lot different than taking control of your health through diet. You know, we all have friends who are eating cheese pizza and quarter pounders for lunch, and while they're doing that, we're batch cooking for the week and making big salads and fat-free stir fries. Well, why do we do it? We do it because we understand that what we put into our mouths impacts our physical health. The same is true with our minds. What we allow into our minds impacts our mental and psychological health. And just like food, we can control a great deal of it. I'm not talking, by the way, about just sitting back and thinking happy thoughts and then waiting for the world to become a rosy place. What I'm talking about is seeking and actually actively seeking out positive sources of input, good food for the brain, if you will, and closing off as many negative sources as possible. So just as an occasional piece of cake or a glass of wine or cookie won't destroy your health if you eat mostly good things, a little negativity won't either, but a lot of it will. And it's important to identify the sources and protect yourself. So, you know, just think about negativity is not quite like cake. There's no question about that, but a little bit's okay. A lot overwhelms your mental system and your psychological systems, and it's just plain bad for health. And it's bad for your physical health as well. So here's my advice. First of all, turn off the TV unless you're watching reruns of Friends or Law and Order. Watch good documentaries and learn something, or watch brain candy. I mean, I watch things that I never saw when it was on network TV. I haven't had a life that allowed me to sit down in front of the TV at 10 o'clock on Thursday every week or something for a long, long time. So, you know, binge watch something that's just good brain candy, a fun TV series that you never saw. Read good things. I read Epoch Times, I read books about health, and a lot of brain candy, like mystery novels and things like that. I just read the book Empire of Pain, which is about the Sacklers. So now I'm back to brain candy. I read a book about health, or news or politics or biography or whatever, and then I go back to brain candy. So I alternate back and forth. And then disconnect from people who agitate you. I just won't allow them to be around me. I mean, all of us have to deal with some of it, but none of us has to deal with as much of it as people want to dish out. Long before this ever happened, I had a categorizing system for people. First, there are some people I just don't want to spend time with. That list has grown since this whole thing began, but even before this, it included family members and some people who were at one time close to me. And I'm not suggesting that the disconnection is easy. I'm just suggesting that it's an act of self-preservation. I also decided there are some people who are okay in groups. I think that the group setting minimizes the impact of whatever is not good, including negative comments or negative attitude. And then there are some people who are just really not good for, really are good, I should say, for my psyche and my soul. And I seek out these people to spend time with. And I think we actually, if we set our mind to it, we can make these types of choices. And I'm not talking about the value of anybody. I'm not trying to set myself up as thinking I'm better than anybody else. I'm just basically saying, look, for me to be okay, I've got to do certain things for myself. That involves eating well, hydrating, exercising, taking care of my mental health and my psyche. I'm just suggesting you do the same thing. So remember this, you're creating your own reality every day. You can change your thoughts and you can change your reality and you can change your life, but this can only happen if you start controlling what you allow in. You can be just as picky about what you allow into your mind as you can what you put in your mouth several times per day. And I think that in this particular, I think it always takes deliberate effort to keep yourself mentally healthy. I think it takes a lot of extra deliberate effort to do that in a situation like what we're living through right now. So you have choices to make. I'm going to let you make them. And I hope that this is helpful. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it. Remember, my email address is pampopper@msn.com. If you want to join our efforts to free ourselves from the current situation we're in, if you want to take some of our courses, send me an email. I'll get back to you right away. Thanks for watching.